Hola, welcome to my channel Clear Vision, where today's video is going to be all about a topic that's critical for understanding many toxic relationship dynamics that we may experience during our life. This video is all about the intersection of codependency and narcissism, which is a complex relationship dynamic that can be deeply harmful, but understanding the psychological underpinnings can help us navigate and heal from these patterns. So I'm going to draw on some psychodynamic theory, Jungian analysis, Gestalt therapy, transactional analysis, and existential psychology if you're interested. And I'm going to explore how these dynamics develop and what we can do to break free. Let's get started by understanding codependency, which involves an excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner, typically one who requires support due to an illness or addiction. I'm going to throw up a video here because I've done one on codependency a few weeks ago. It takes it maybe in a little bit more depth and a different direction. It's more specifically about codependency. This is about codependency and narcissism. So click on that if you see it. In the context of narcissistic relationships, the codependent person often finds their sense of self-worth through pleasing and accommodating the narcissist. From a psychodynamic perspective, this behavior can stem from early attachment issues where an individual learns to seek validation and self-worth through others due to inconsistent or neglectful caregiving in childhood. Now we need to understand narcissism. So narcissism, on the other hand, is characterized by a grandiose sense of self-importance and a lack of empathy and a need for excessive admiration. Again, scroll through the videos. I've done tons on narcissism, the origins of it, how it displays itself, covert narcissism, overt narcissism. There's a load of information there. And again, this is just going to be some foundational stuff to understand the context of codependency and narcissism. So narcissists often exploit relationships to meet their own needs without considering the impact on others. And then from a Jungian perspective, narcissism can be seen as a manifestation of an inflated persona. You've heard that, inflated ego, where the individual is overly identified with their public image, the persona, the mask, what I do, not what I am. So I'm a blah, 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 blah. And they are then therefore disconnected from their true self or the self. So the codependent individual might be driven by an unconscious need to heal the wounded aspects of the narcissist, reflecting their own shadow work that has not been addressed. Gestalt therapy, or the Gestalt perspective, the focus is on awareness and the here and now experience, as always. And codependents and narcissists often avoid present reality by living in a cycle of unmet needs and expectations. I mean, if you get into Gestalt stuff, there's the Gestalt cycle of awareness, and the Gestalt cycle can get broken. So we end up with all of these incomplete Gestalts, etc., etc. Which I'll do another video on another day because it's quite an interesting one. So, like I said, they often avoid present reality by living in a cycle of unmet needs. Remember, there's another video I did on us chasing. People tend to chase what we didn't get. So we chase our unmet needs from childhood. Gestalt therapy encourages individuals to become aware of their own needs and take responsibility for their feelings rather than projecting them onto others. When it comes to, I mentioned transactional analysis. Transactional analysis offers this other lens, this other turning of the kaleidoscope, and it views these dynamics as a series of transactions or interactions based on roles from early life, often categorized as parent, adult, and child, which are referred to as ego states. Again, there's an ego state video which I did a long while back, maybe 18 months ago. So we all have three ego states within us. Parent, adult, and child, and we can slip into these ego states depending on the relationship, and they have their three ego states as well. Parent and child are quite complementary. I mean, we're talking as adults. You'll be the parent, the judgmental parent. I'll be the child, or you be the all-giving, all-caring parent, and I'll be the child. The ideal one is adult to adult relationship. I'm in an adult ego state. You're in an adult ego state. We approach the relationship in the world in a more mature, healthy way. For the context of this video, codependents might take on the role of, like I said, the nurturing parent, whilst narcissists will oscillate between the critical parent and the needy child. So now you've got all-giving parent, or, loving, caring parent, and someone else flicking into judgmental or needy child. So this perpetuates this kind of dysfunctional relationship cycle where you're slipping into roles, they call them scripts, which you learned back in childhood. You maybe learned in childhood that if you were all giving, you got validation, or if you sat on your pity pot and stamped your feet, you got what you wanted. So we then learn this script and we take this with us into adult life. I mean, it's a lot more complex than that, but that's it in a nutshell. From the existential perspective, these dynamics can be understood as struggles with authenticity and meaning. And both codependents and narcissists might be avoiding existential truths about isolation, freedom, and the responsibility of creating their own meaning instead of becoming trapped in inauthentic roles that prevent true self-actualization. And I know I'm going to get asked at some point, narcissists are narcissists. I mean, maybe replace the word narcissist for people with heavy narcissistic tendencies, because a full-blown narcissist with NPD is not really going to change. They're not really going to. The codependent can, the narcissist is not. It's too much to change. It's too much for them to actually change, because they would have to start at ground zero completely again. So just to put that one in there. But how do these dynamics develop? Obviously, it's early attachment issues, and codependent behavior often develops from early attachment issues through inconsistent or neglectful caregiving, which leads individuals to seek validation, like I said, and self-worth through others. And they may learn to prioritize others' needs over their own. So people-pleasing, codependency, and they prioritize other people's needs over their own to feel valued and loved. And then there's the emotional manipulation from the narcissist with their need to control and their need for admiration. So they often exploit these tendencies. They will manipulate codependents by using praise and affection to draw them in, followed by criticism and devaluation to maintain control. So the codependent is always trying to get back to where they were, back to where it was in the relationship, or running faster on the hamster wheel, trying to correct the situation. Unresolved inner conflicts can be another one where both parties in this dynamic are often driven by unresolved inner conflicts, and the narcissist's inflated ego and lack of empathy mask deep-seated insecurities and fears of inadequacy. If you want to know the origins of the narcissist and how one's created, I have a video for that. I'll try and put it up here. I've got to get used to these video cards. So the codependent's excessive need to please others often hides a lack of self-worth and fear of abandonment. Breaking free from codependency and narcissistic relationships. First step, self-awareness. I mean, if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, get away as quick as you can. Recognize it early on is better before the manipulation, the coercion, and the control and the devaluation really starts to take hold. But the first step to breaking free from these toxic patterns is self-awareness, to recognize that it's actually happening, to recognize you're doing it. And that's the big one, to actually stand there and go, oh, okay, I'm codependent. The narcissist is not going to do it. The codependent can, but the narcissist is not going to sit there and say, oh, I'm a narcissist, I need to change. Not going to happen. So you need to understand your own behaviors and motivations. Again, look at early life dynamics, look at your scripts, what kind of dynamics you're familiar with and you know how to be in, because the unconscious patterns that these unconscious patterns are the things that drive you. And therapy can help you in this process and help you explore your past and how it influences your present and the way you behave and view the world. Learning to set boundaries is extremely important. Boundaries with yourself, boundaries with others. It's absolutely crucial. And this involves recognizing, again, your own needs and your values and not compromising them to please others. Learning to say no. There are a million different ways to say no if you don't like confrontation, but hold that boundary, especially if you're codependent. Don't keep giving all the time. Boundaries protect your well-being and signal to others that you value yourself. So if you find yourself involved with a narcissist, putting those boundaries in to protect yourself. I don't accept this behavior. I'm not going to accept this kind of devaluation. I'm not going to accept gaslighting. I'm not going to accept word salad. That's a boundary. I'm not going to accept what are the other things narcissists do, all sorts. Projections, gaslighting, devaluing, word salad. Love bombing is a little bit of a difficult one. Possessiveness. You're not going to accept these, the cutting comments, the silent treatment, the stonewalling, all of this stuff. You're not going to accept it. It's a boundary within it's your boundary within relationships. And again, we tend to learn this through pattern or recognizing a pattern in not having boundaries. So we accepted certain behaviors in previous relationships or in the one we're in now. And now it's time to put a boundary in to protect ourselves. Like I said, individual therapy can really help address underlying issues such as low self-esteem, unresolved trauma, and attachment issues. And various therapeutic approaches such as Psychodynamic, Gestalt, all the ones I've mentioned can provide valuable insights and tools for healing. If you really, really find yourself having been really damaged by such a relationship as a codependent with a narcissist, there are support groups out there. Join the support group for codependency or survivors of narcissistic abuse. And this can be also with parents, narcissistic parents. It can help you. It can provide a sense of community and understanding, sharing your experiences. Other people perhaps further down the line with looking after themselves and placing boundaries, and you kind of go, oh, well, it can be done. Going to these groups can be quite empowering and validating. There's all the mindfulness and the grounding techniques, which I go on about, to stay present and connected to your own emotions and your needs. And these practices can help you break the automatic patterns of codependency and build a stronger sense of self. Also, what you can move towards when you're ready is cultivating authentic relationships. Focus on building relationships with people that are based on mutual respect. Not what you can do for them, but just you for you. So empathy, authenticity. Surround yourself with people who support your growth and your well-being, who, like I say, the most important one is that they just like you for you. Not what you've got, not what you have, not what you can do for them, not because you're a prop for them or you're a shoulder to cry on or anything like that, just because they just like being around you. They like you. And just a quick recap, the intersection of codependency and narcissism does create a complex and usually a very damaging dynamic unless you get out sooner rather than later. And by understanding this, all the stuff that's going on underneath it, and again, this is like just the fundamentals of it in this video. By understanding all of this, you can maybe recognize it soon or understand what's happening for you in a current relationship or what happened to you in a past one or why it's maybe occurred with 2 or 3 different people. You can begin to understand your part in it, especially as the codependent, and why you are drawn to that or how quickly someone may manipulate that, because it doesn't have to be a narcissist who will manipulate you. Other people will naturally, I think it's a human tendency. People naturally, the more you give, the more people just take, and then they take it for granted. They don't have to be narcissists to do it. And they might be, say, on the manipulative scale or side of things as well, and the coercive. And again, so a lot of it is actually turning the lens back towards you and kind of going, okay, what's my part in this? What's going on? Why do I accept this? Why do I maybe not look for it, but why do I kind of carry on with these kind of dynamics in a relationship when I know I should walk away? Well, because then I will feel invalidated. I fear rejection. I fear this. I only get my validation from giving, because then people are happy to have me around. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but it's not particularly healthy because people can walk away from that. The moment you stop giving, people walk away. I hope this video helps shine a bit of a light on that. If you are a codependent caught up with a narcissist in a relationship, it's quite a dangerous place to be as a codependent. And it's going to be a difficult relationship to break away from the longer it goes on for. Like I said, it's an overview, so I hope this helps. And until I see you next time, please take very good care of yourselves. Adios.